Hi, everybody. My name is Tim Lazara. I run the team at the Convenience Marketing Group here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome to this presentation on food service. The title of this presentation is called How to Create and Communicate Unique Food Offers to Convenience Store Customers. And I want to emphasize that this is all about uniqueness, differentiating yourself, your store, your food offer to convenience store customers. And we'll get into a little bit of the weeds on why this is really important later in this presentation. But for now, this is a very much a how-to presentation for you. And hopefully it'll spur some thinking, spur some creative ideas for you to succeed at food service. So the overview, where are we going today? Let me just cover it 7 things. The first one is the purpose of this presentation, what we're trying to accomplish here, and when we know we'll be done with it. The second thing, number 2, there is the background. And here I want to just cover a little bit about the current situation of food service in America, food service in American convenience stores, just to lay the groundwork so we know what stake in the ground, in a sense, that we're pushing off of. The third thing we're going to cover, there are 3 essential questions that I'm going to ask you and challenge you to answer before you even consider anything within the food service arena. We'll cover those 3 questions. Number 4, we're going to ask the question, why position food? What does it do for you? You can have a food service program, but why go to the next step? Why consider in your marketing program of your food, if you have a single store, if you have 10 stores, 100 stores, it doesn't matter. Why position your food program, or within that, why position a particular food product? We'll talk about some of the benefits there. Number 5, the positioning tools. I'll share with you 2 tools that will help you position either your food program or a particular product within food service. And hopefully those things will help spur some thinking and creative ideas as well. Then I'll go through a bunch of examples of ways that we have in our company positioned food creatively and marketed food creatively over the years. And again, these are just examples to spur your imagination, to spur your thinking. And after we're done with all of that, while you're still going to be resisting me about why positioning is the right thing for you to do from a marketing standpoint, the 7th thing we're going to talk about here is something called Martha's Manifesto, to see if we can't get over that final obstacle and that final hump to convince you why positioning food in this particular manner and marketing food and a food program in the convenience store space makes so much sense. Okay, let's keep going. This presentation actually started from a request from Don Longo, who was from Convenience Store News. And he basically said to me that we want to help convenience retailers of all sizes get a little bit better at marketing food service. And this was a presentation that was done to food service directors around the country. And hopefully it meets that objective. But it was very marketing focused and very uniqueness focused, trying to find unique factors that you can create in food service. So I always like to start with the end in mind. So if there's anything that are key takeaways from this presentation, let's cover them at the beginning. Then you'll know when we're done. The first one is you have to find ways to differentiate and position your food products and your food program. There's no other way to do it and be successful. Just a hot dog program for the sake of having a hot dog program won't get it done anymore in the convenience store space. So we're going to talk about that. The second thing is you have to find or create unique factors around your food. This is going to require you getting into the weeds a little bit and being creative and imaginative with your food programs. And we're going to talk about one factor at the end of this presentation when we talk about Martha's Manifesto that will make all the difference for you. The third thing around your food program is you have to focus on creating more value for the customer. And one of the ways that you're going to be able to do that is getting closer to listening to, asking questions of your customer. When you do this, you'll create more value. You'll also be much more innovative in terms of your food program or just food products. And we'll cover some of those examples. And then the last thing I want you to do is, and you've probably never heard this before, within not only the retail space, but the convenience store retail spaces, it's essential for you to add your perspective, your point of view to your food program or just a food product. And we'll talk about this a little later on. So, as far as some background, what's happening right now, the convenience stores are doing a pretty good job in the food service arena right now. But the bad news is that competitors know it and they're starting to respond to all of this. Very natural thing to happen in any competitive business space. More C stores, they want to jump into food service, but there's really two questions that they're asking is number one, is this a good time to do it? Is the timing right? And the second question they're asking is, what's it going to cost to make that kind of commitment to food service? And my first thought here is always start small when it comes to commitment. You don't have to have a full blown expensive program. You can start small but you can still use the tools that I'm going to share with you as far as positioning and marketing, even around a single food service program. There was one that I did for Sheetz way back at the beginning when I worked on the Sheetz business. It was kind of cool, and we'll share that a little bit later on in this presentation. The other question you're probably asking yourself is, can I compete and can I win in a crowded food service arena? It always feels like there's never a good time to get into this. More and more competitors are jumping in. The answer and the antidote to that question is positioning, is a way to position your food so that it get your food program or your product, food product, that it gets attention, gets trial, and then if it is indeed a good program, a good food program, a good food product, you will succeed here. So it's never a good time to get in, but the antidote for that is position. Uh, and that's the last point here is the positioning your food product by getting narrow and positioning your program, your product was definitely going to help you succeed when it comes to food service and marketing. So there's three central questions before we get into all of this marketing and all this positioning stuff with food service that you've got to ask yourself. And I'm going to challenge you to answer these questions. The first one is, what do you believe about your convenience store business, generally speaking, and your food service program in particular? Why did you get into this business? What do you believe about it passionately? What's so great about your food program? Why did you get into that? I don't know the answer to that question, but you need to know the answer to that question, and you need to answer that question before we move forward. The second question is, and this is more of a challenge, is what's the new value that you're creating for your customers this month, both with your store? How are you making it more convenient, better for your customers this month? What's the new value that you're creating? Ask yourself that question also when it comes to food service. What's the new value that you're creating around your food service program this month? If the answer is, I don't know, or nothing, well, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So we're going to try to answer some of those questions later on. And then the last question that you need to ask yourself as you get into food service in particular is, who do you want to challenge? Your food business, most likely when you start, is going to come out of somebody else's hide. That's where positioning helps you. That's where marketing and positioning help you. You can and will create new customers with your program, but here's the thing: people that are used to going to getting food and food products in a convenience store, they'll, if you tempt them the right way, they will switch and try your product. And if you deliver, they'll come back and you can make them more loyal. That's a big challenge at the beginning of all this. So you have to figure out where your source of food service business is going to come from. Who are you going to challenge? Who are you basically going to take business away from? And then once you're done with those questions, and I suggest that you write them out, then you want to nail those answers to the church door. And I have a little bit of fun with this because this is Martin Luther, the guy that got in a lot of trouble by writing his 99, I think it was, proclamations, and nailed them to the church door and got in a whole lot of trouble when he did that. But the bottom line with him was it really did put a stake in the ground for him. And he did challenge the church at that time with things that he really believed in. And to be successful in food service, because it's so hard and it requires work and investment of time and creativity and marketing and all of those things that go with it. And you know this as a convenience store owner, but because you're going to do all of those things, you want to make sure that you strongly believe in your food service program. So, whatever those answers are, nail them to the church door and make sure you're sharing them with your people. So, number four here is, why should we position food? What are the benefits to doing that? Well, the first thing is, when you position food and you do this correctly, you're going to be able to charge a premium price for it. And there's a reason for that. And that's because you're unique. You're less interchangeable if you have your own unique food products. And people, they can't get that particular food product anywhere else. They can't substitute it. Therefore, you can charge a premium price for your product. This is essential to understand when it comes to positioning food. Not only can you make healthy margins on food, but you can also make ungodly margins on food that is positioned uniquely and correctly. The other thing with goes without saying, but I'm going to say it again, is that a unique food offering, whether it's one product or a whole program, it makes your store a destination. Again, 30 years ago or so, when Sheetz created the MTO, the made to order program, and I was involved in expanding all of that, the Sheetz stores became a destination for unique made to order food and still are today. And they've expanded that again and again and again. You can do it too. Also, why position food? When you take a narrow positioning of your food, what that does is, rather than trying to be all things to all people, by narrowing your positioning, you just naturally make your marketing more impactful. And you'll see some examples of this as we go through this presentation. When you do impactful marketing, usually what happens is you get more people to pay attention to you. You tempt more people to try your food. If it's unique and they can't get it anywhere else, you're making higher gross margins. As a result of that, you're making higher profits. So all these concepts basically fit together to drive food service and food service margins and profits right into your stores. Now, I'm going to tell you and warn you to avoid the temptation of trying to be all things to all people. You're going to want to do that. You'll feel yourself want to be all things to all people. Don't do it. Be more narrow in terms of who you're talking to and the type of food service offerings, products, programs that you're putting out there into the marketplace. And the final thing about positioning food is, it's really a lot of fun, but not for the reason that you think. The reason that positioning food and marketing it and being successful is a lot of fun is because you're kicking the butt of your competitors. You might be smaller as a operator, but you can definitely succeed when you follow the steps that I outline here for positioning and marketing food. Even if you have one store, you'll succeed at this if you follow these principles. So there's two simple positioning tools that you can use. The first one is called the unique benefits list, and this just requires literally you listing what's unique. But again, I point to the word unique. You have to have unique benefits, or you have to create them. You can do this. I'll show you how to do it. And then also, you can also create a positioning statement. And this is just another way that you can think about a particular food product and how you're going to offer it up to convenience store customers. It can be men, can be women, can be teenagers. You're going to pick your target audience, but this is where, when you position food, where you really start to get narrow and you think very specifically and precisely about what you're offering. Don't try to be all things to all people. Just focus on one thing at a time, because what will happen is these things will build like dominoes, knocking each other down over time. So the tool number one is the unique benefits list. And basically what you're going to do is create a list with 3 columns from left to right, your benefits, your competitions, and then you're going to look for things that only you have and can offer for customers. There are going to be some things in there that you both have, but look for the things that are unique, that are different, only you offer. That's where the gold is for you. That differentiation is where your leverage comes from. And when it's placed into your marketing, it's also where you get the most leverage for your budget. You get attention. You'll tempt people to come into your store by being unique. That's where you find it, the things that only you can do that are different. So, how do you create positions? Let's go through some of these. But one of the things I tell clients all the time is you basically have to get into the weeds. You have to narrow your focus and you have to create new opportunities with that narrow focus. So, some examples. The first one I call real estate. A good example of this would be what Pizza Hut does. They go around the real estate of the pizza. So whether they put cheese in the crust, whether they put garlic on the crust, whether they do a meat lover's pizza, a veggie lover's pizza, whatever, they go around the pizza's real estate, find something to emphasize, and then they take that one thing and they emphasize it to you. A lot of times, that one thing, cheese in the crust, as an example, is something that's unique, gets your attention. Most people know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about the cheese filled crust with Pizza Hut. It was one thing that they had marketed several years ago, very successful. These are the type of things that you can do too. Find the real estate in your food products. It can be a sub program, it could be a hot dog, it could be anything that you offer. If you find that one thing and emphasize it in the real estate on the food product, you can start to have success there. Right below that, you can emphasize your region or your ingredients inside your food product. Um, Again, if you have particular regional or seasonal ingredients that you can put into a food program or a food product, this is another successful way to do this. Third, there you can look at calories. This could be both low calories and or high calories. We've all seen those products where it's the massive burger that if you can finish it in one sitting, you get a prize, a T-shirt or something. So it could be high calorie in the experience of that, or low calories and the experience for that. Go in the opposite direction, it could be a healthier product for your customers, especially for the female convenience store person. It could be prep time and process, that there's some type of either you get it fast or the process that you have is so unique that nobody else can copy it and it impacts the flavor of the food. It could be something that's grilled in a certain way, as an example. The other thing that you can do is you can emphasize a food product. Basically, it's a family or family values. Maybe it's a family recipe. These are things that you can emphasize as well because nobody can copy your particular family. And I'm going to show you some examples of that in a little bit. How about thinking about positioning it versus eating it in the car versus sit down if you have the space within your store? That's a whole convenience differentiator, something you can think about as far as how people can enjoy your particular food product. The experience of the product. You can see this today. A lot of chocolate manufacturers will use this where they will really emphasize the experience and the indulgence of the food product that they're offering, meaning chocolate. This is another thing that, another idea that you could borrow inside your store. You could emphasize the people and the people that prep it. You could emphasize the size of the food product, meaning either big and or small. When we introduced the MTO Junior sub, that was designed for women and children because that's the 6 inch or the 12-inch sub for Sheetz was just too big for other people to enjoy. So we reduced that product down in size, and it was very successful. You could also focus your food products by day part, meaning you could become known as a morning person, or not a morning person, but a morning food operation, depending on where your customers are and how they're driving by your store. If it could work for the AM, it could work for lunch. It could certainly work for the day part of dinner if people are passing your location on the way home. You need to think about those type of things. The other thing you can think about differentiating is your building, how you offer, what it looks like both from the inside and outside the store. But these are all different ways to start to create positionings. Just a couple others here. Or you could create a signature item that's it could be just a family recipe that's really good and you really like. Signature item that I had offered for Sheetz years ago was a no bake cookie, and this is going back quite a while now. But the particular recipe for that cookie, the no bake chocolate peanut butter, is still around for Sheetz today. That was an innovation that was just close by, that we introduced for Sheetz. So a lot of your innovation and recipes for products could be very very close at hand for you. Some other positions, you could position your food program just for women, for men, for kids. Those are just a couple of ideas where you can start if your competitors don't have those type of things. Sometimes a problem and a solution is another way to look at this. If you need a fast breakfast, and you offer drive through, or maybe you can have these products ready instantly as people run in and get them, or some way to make it even more convenient to grab and go food inside the store. You can add a lot of value around a program like that. Another idea is, how about a guarantee? If if people aren't satisfied with whatever the particular product is, they get another one, or they get their money back, or something like that. I know a lot of people might resist that, but it is a great stake in the ground for you to put down if your food is really good, that you can guarantee it. You can guarantee satisfaction. And there's lots of ways to skin that cat. Sometimes you can just be more creative in your promotions with the way that you communicate at the store level, or out in digital, or in the media, radio, billboards, whatever, point of sale things. You could be more creative as a way to get attention and position your food. How about positioning a food item for senior citizens? That's another way to look at it. Maybe you can come up with a new shape or a form. And again, I'm going to show you some examples of this in a minute, but how about the people that do the cheeseburger dogs that are in the shape of a hot dog right now? That's a good example of that. And you can have a lot of fun with that as well. We did one for Unimart years ago. It was a cheeseburger dog, but we called it the Big Ugly, because that cheeseburger dog indeed was an ugly product. There was no way we could hide from it. So we had fun with it. We were more creative with it and introduced it that way. And it was a successful introduction. Okay, so you can just keep going, but these are some things to spur your imagination, a way to position a food product or position a food program. And there's lots of ways to do it. And you can combine a lot of these as well. You could combine kids with a new shape and form, as an example. Lots of ways to think about it. But when you do it this way and you're looking for those unique factors, this is where your success will come with food service products. Okay. The next thing is a simple tool to use. It's called a positioning statement. And basically, you're going to write this out, and it's going to spur your thinking creatively about how you're going to offer this food to a precise target audience. And it looks like this. If you are a senior citizen, as an example, who wants a easy to digest, low calorie dinner, only we have the blankety blank dinner product for you. The unique reasons for that is we use a lighter version of luncheon meat, or we use only the freshest lettuce, tomato grown locally in our marketplace. You'll have to come up with these. But when you start to do this positioning statement in this manner, what you're doing is you're getting very, very narrow, especially with your target audience and the benefits for them. And one of the reasons that you would know this is because you would have been talking to your customers about some of their problems and some of their needs. So the first two statements there, if you're a senior citizen who wants an easy to digest dinner product, and only we have whatever that product is and the unique reasons. The top of that is you're asking your customers what they want. And then the second two questions, or the second two statements, what you're doing there is you're basically solving the problem that's above that. And then once you do that, you're able to put together your campaign. It could simply be point of sale. It could be a radio ad. It could be digital things on the social platforms, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. But when you're doing this, Now your food program and the way you communicate it is not only creative, it's also unique and it's very narrow. What you'll find happening then is you will get attention and you will get people coming into your store because you've tempted them to try your food product. So let's go through just a couple of examples. One is show you some examples we did for a distributor. This was for Team Sled out in Wheeling, West Virginia, now a part of Amcon. But we had created a brand called the Corner Eatery for them. And this is an example of a program that was placed into, let's say, a single store retailer. So there were deli subs and sandwiches. This is a panini sandwich, uh, terrific product. But again, for a retailer that maybe doesn't have the resources to create all those things on their own, sometimes you can get it from a distributor like Team Sled. Just as an example, this is a branded product and something that you can be very successful at and then make high margin on. This is just a way to treat. We had talked about positioning the outside of the building just as a way to get attention to your retail outlet. This is a very simple and kind of inexpensive way to do it with a something you put on the top of the roof. It works with the fork in the brand that we show on the building. And if you saw that and drive by, you would definitely pay attention to that particular retailer. And as you then started to pay attention to it, you'd see, oh, they have an eatery food program inside that store. Maybe I'll try that thing. That's the way that this retail type of programming can work. Here's another one where we're focusing on the differentiator of size and also day part. So there's the Biggie breakfast biscuit, doing it for really a tempting price there. But this is a way to combine two things, the size of it and day part. And then once you decide on those two narrow things that you're going to position, this is what point of sale could possibly look like, right? Gets attention. And then just some retail programs. Here's a program and a product we had put together. It's called the West Virginian. Again, this could be a recipe that you have that you want to develop or put your own wrinkle or riff to. But in this particular case, we're putting pepperoni on this thing to give it a West Virginia spin, and we're branding it, calling the West Virginian. You can do this with anything inside your store. You can create your own recipe, and you can find people. And if you can't find those people, call me, and I can help you find those people to put together unique, differentiated, tasty recipes that you literally can offer that nobody else can do it, meaning your competitors. This is the way to start to think about positioning your food program. This was for a steakhouse client of ours, but again, we're focusing on low calorie, protein packed menu, and we're branding it here and calling it Haas Light. And there's the plate lifting up in the air. Again, if you're focusing on lower calories, lighter calories, maybe for women coming into your store, this is again a way to position it. This is a way to offer it. And this is a way that things in point of sale you can also show how it's going to work. It's a lot easier to put creative things together like this, the more narrow and the more precisely focused you are on who you're offering your products to. If you're trying to be all things to all people, this is hard. If you're trying to be narrow, women, less calories, protein packed, which is, still a pretty fairly significant trend today. This is the type of thing that creatively everybody wants to, from a creative standpoint, like our company would. This is the type of thing that we can really sink our teeth into. Here's another thing where their family at Haas's is very into American values. So we use the double meaning of American values and put a menu together at a decent price here. But again, playing off the riff of American values, which again is in vogue today. For pizza, most people are used to a round pizza. Here's one where this company called Best Way does a square pizza, which is just dare to be square. You can see from their tagline, and any toppings. But again, we're focusing on the real estate as we had talked about before and doing something unique with it. So rather than round, you dare to be square. Just something to, again, provoke your imagination. Here's a teaser billboard that we did. We set up a problem, tired of skipping breakfast or having cold cereal, question mark. We get it. Okay, well, that's a teaser that you can put out there. Let's say that this is the billboard. Okay, well, who gets it? This is a nice little tactic that you can use sometimes. But again, it's problem and solution oriented. So you tease this maybe for 2 weeks out in the marketplace, and then you pay it off with, we got it. And now you introduce a new product from get go, which is a breakfast sandwich. So again, you list the problem, you tease it. You have basically you're saying, do you have this problem? And then after 2 weeks of teasing it, you answer it with a new product and where they can get it. And we're obviously saying to the customer here, come and get it. This is just, again, pasta sauce and spaghetti sauce is spaghetti sauce is spaghetti sauce. This is a product that we had helped position that was very specifically targeted to people in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh pasta sauce. And even more narrow than that, it was created in our area of Pittsburgh called our Little Italy, which is Bloomfield, Pennsylvania. When we introduced it, it's been very successful and it's gotten into retail stores all around the region. When we talked about different ways to think about products, here's another good example. With your hot dogs, why not create a premium hot dog inside your store? This is a type of thing where you could do a steak hot dog, the filet mignon of hot dogs. Again, something to spur your imagination to think differently about your store. Offer something that nobody else can offer and you can charge a premium price for. Why not steak hot dogs? Would you try it? Sounds good to me. This was a teaser board we did for Sheetz, and on there, I think it was their 30-year anniversary of MTO, and they were basically going to offer a lower priced menu to combat the high prices of gasoline. Totally relevant today. So we had Steve Sheetz, who introduced MTO way back in the day, come back to reintroduce something that was very, very important for Sheetz, which is this low price menu. And we had some fun with this. Again, we're positioning with the family values, and we're having a little bit of tongue in cheek fun with this, which is our new low prices will kick some McButt. Obviously, we're alerting McDonald's that we're going to be coming after them with something. And that's something that we came after them with was that we're slashing our prices. There's a meatball sandwich for $1.99. You can only get it at Sheetz. And we have this is one of the unique things here is at the bottom, we're saying you can get over 20 items reduced. And this was a way to get people back into Sheetz because the high price of gasoline was driving people to dollar menus. So we put our own dollar menu together in a sense and got them back. Very successful campaign. So after we go through all those examples, I can hear it right now. I can hear you say it, Tim. We have a blank program, small, undifferentiated, whatever, and you're going to tell me that we're not that unique. We can't do it. Or maybe you don't even have a food service program at this point. So I have to have an answer for that at this point in time. And I do. And the answer to that is it's called Martha Graham's Manifesto. And for those of you who don't know, Martha Graham was a famous dancer, and she was actually from the Allegheny City portion of Pittsburgh. And if you look her up, you can see a whole lot of famous quotes from her. And I want to share one with you as it relates to food service. When you tell me that there's nothing unique and different about your stores or about your food service program or your food, maybe you have one product or whatever, this is the quote that I would ask you to consider when it comes to starting to get creative about differentiating your food program. And that's a picture of Martha Graham, the dancer. And here's the quote. I'll read it. There's a vitality and a life force quickening that's translated through you and into action. And because there's only one of you in all time, that this expression is unique. This is Martha Graham speaking. And if you block that expression, it will never exist through any other medium and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It's not your business to determine how good or valuable or how it compares with other expressions. It's your business to keep it yours clearly and directly. You have to keep yourself open and aware to the urges that motivate you. You must keep the channel open. And I would say all that to say this: it's your unique perspective and passion about food service that makes it different, that makes it successful. It's your point of view, it's your unique take. And I guarantee you, if you think about it, there are certain food items and food products around you in your world, things that you love. Pay attention to those things because you can translate that kind of passion, those type of recipes, those type of food concepts and products. You can drag them into your store and you can make them unique and different and make high margins on those type of things, because at that point when you do it that way, you will be literally unstoppable and uncopyable. So I ask you to consider that quote from Martha Graham. And by saying all that, I would finally challenge you to nail that type of thinking to the church door, nail it to the convenience, your convenience store's door. I appreciate you listening. I hope this has been helpful in terms of spurring some thinking and creative ideas. If you need to get a hold of us, you can reach me at my name, Tim Lazar, at Comcast.net. And for those of you listening on the podcast, that would be TIMLAZ as in zebra OR at Comcast.net. You can also find us at the just conveniencemarketing.net, or you can also find us at the parent company, which is Lazar Yost, LAZ is in zebra, ORYOST.com. And you can call us anytime at 412 400 3144. Again, thanks for listening. We appreciate your time. If you have any comments, please leave them or get back to us via email.